A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to the session 2 of the day. My name is Vivek Rahi. I'm a partner with KPMG and I'm also leading the upstream oil and gas practice for the firm in India. Uh, Today I'm also joined by two very distinguished panelists. Miss Barnali Barua Tokhi, she's the MD for BPRL. She comes with over 3 decades of E&P industry experience. She has also worked across geographies, including uh, countries which have very prolific deep water plays, countries like Brazil and Mozambique. I'm also joined by Mr. Gautam Sinha. He's the Executive Director, Strategy and Planning at Directorate General of Hydrocarbons. In his current role, he is steering a lot of global investor outreach and the business development of the entire E&P industry. Welcome, Mr. Sinha and Ms. Toki. Look forward to have very insightful discussion today. The way I plan to run this discussion is that I'll just set the context of the theme and the specific areas that we want to discuss today, and we'll hand it over to the panelists for their opening remarks, and then we'll get into a Q&A discussion with the panelists. All of us know that in India, the deep water play contributes to about 40% of the total sedimentary basinal area, which is close to 1.36 million square kilometer, which today remains largely unexplored. A hydrocarbon resource potential reassessment done in 2017 had indicated a rise of 49% in the in-place potential uh, as compared to the potential that was assessed almost 2 decades ago. And most of this potential is believed uh, to come from the deep water plays. It is believed that the yet to find potential of India is close to 13 billion tons of oil equivalent. And deep waters are believed to actually contribute a significant portion of this. Uh, Now, despite the high cost and risk involved in deep water activities, over the years we have seen uh, that on account of technology advancements, the prospecting and development of deep water resources have become increasingly viable. And in fact, in India, the government has introduced a plethora of initiatives to kind of fast track the development. Now, keeping that in mind, I think what we intend to discuss in today's discussion is to look at some of those challenges and the key enablers, particularly the technology being the centerpiece, and how we can fast track that to harness the India's deep water potential. Over to you, Ms. Toki, for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Vivek, and thank you for attending our session. Uh, the way I look at it is that the oil and gas exploration in the deep waters is very similar to the metaverse, wherein we have a lot of collaboration, a lot of digital integration, and it creates an environment which fosters innovation, and also we have an atmosphere of virtual reality, augmented reality, and a lot of assistance from the artificial intelligence part. So all that creates an atmosphere which is conducive for a lot of contribution from technology, leading to our costs being the operational cost reduction, and also it increases efficiency. So how I have looked at it is that the entire gamut of exploration, it indicates that we have to look at digital transformation in the areas of seismic acquisition, processing, and interpretation, as well as the drilling technology. So in seismic acquisition, we have seen a lot of advancements in the technology that we adopt, especially related to nodes, how the robotic nodes have created an atmosphere where we get very good 3D as well as 2D data. And we have to be very, very, we have to take care of the marine life as well. So towards creating an environment so that we do not disturb the fragile marine life, a lot of technology advancement has happened towards there are marine vibrators which releases these vibrations over a longer period of time instead of the air guns which were instant, which used to disturb the marine flora and fauna. So with utilizing these vibrators, we are able to not compromise on data quality, as well at the same time we are not disturbing the marine life. There are also issues where the imaging under the subsoils used to be compromised and they were not of very good quality, but with the recent advancements, subsalt mapping has really gained ground and we are able to get very good imaging. Coming to processing, earlier it used to take years to get the data processed to be of amenable quality. But now with the digital transformation, with very high speed technology, what used to take years is now taking weeks. And we understand the time value of money in our business. So the moment it becomes weeks, so within a year, you're ready to drill a first wells. Whereas earlier it used to take years just to get the data processed. So a lot of technology advancement has happened, especially related to the processing. And then there are wide azimuth data available and full wave inversions happenings, which has added to the resource base of the world. We have seen a few super majors making good field extensions through these areas. So a lot of innovations have happened. In the field of interpretation, a lot of artificial intelligence is helping us. We nowadays, we put the seed in the seismic data. In the morning, we have our geobodies ready to pick up our prospects. So what used to take months is now into overnight, we are able to get those data sets. And these data sets are without bias, because when a human does some interpretation, we have a model in mind and we may try to contrive the data in a way that we feel the subsurface is like. But with AI, there is no compromise and there is no bias, so we get a much better data set. Now coming to drilling technology, a lot of robotics there also. And we have seen in process platforms the idea of digital twin, which we are also seeing now in drill ships, so that the prediction to what we may encounter in the subsurface or in the deep waters can already be analyzed, the risks can be mitigated. It helps in better ROI in the project. So even in drilling technology, in testing of wells, all these technology has grown leaps and bounds, saving us a lot of time, giving us a data set which is excellent for interpretation, very amenable for interpretation. So these are some of the factors that I thought I will mention here just to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening remarks and actually talking us through the key technology innovations that have happened. I think, one of the aspects that you talked about is besides those core technology innovations, the digital technologies have played a very critical role in kind of crashing the time to undertake a lot of activities and enhancing the ability to visualize the reservoir and improve the hitting ratios and all of that. Thank you. Moving on to Mr. Sinha, your opening remarks, and also in your opening remarks, if you can emphasize on the opportunity of deepwater plays in India.
Thank you, Vivek, and good morning to all of you who have come here. So I think Barnali has dealt quite in detail about the technology part of deepwater, seismic and drilling. And from a upstream regulator perspective, I'll focus more on the opportunities in India in deepwater. Before I come to the Indian context, I should give some number, which is based on some study done by Wood Mackenzie. In 1999, the global deepwater production was 0.3 million barrel, and 2022 it is 10 million barrel. And what we are expecting that 2030 it will go to 17 million barrel. So almost 60% increase in global oil production from deep water in next 6 years time, and there are new discoveries happening globally in deep water. The deep water oil production increasing at a CAGR of 3.5% annually, and the international oil companies are investing a lot of money in drilling of exploratory wells and developing deepwater field. Guyana is an example. Coming back to Indian context, already Vivek has told that out of 3.6 million square kilometer of sedimentary area, we have almost 1.35 in deep water, which is almost 40%, roughly 39%. But the issue is that Indian deep water and ultra deep water are still very hugely unexplored, or some of the basins are moderately explored or poorly explored, like category 1 basin. Now for the audience, what is deep water and what is ultra deep water? In India, if the water depth is beyond 400 meter, we call it deep water. And if the water depth is beyond 1500 meter, we call it ultra deep water. It matches more or less with the global definition of deep water, ultra deep water. So we have total 2.36 million square kilometer exclusive economic zone area, EEZ. And it of course consists of shallow water and also the deep and ultra deep water. But we have seen that majority of the exploration happened, like Mumbai High or KG. It was in mainly shallow water, which is below 400 meter. Recently, there are deepwater developments by ONGC, BP Reliance in deepwater, which is more than 400, even 2000 meter water depth. And almost India's 1/3 of gas production is coming from deepwater. That is very encouraging. In KG basin, we are producing almost 100 million standard kilometer of gas per day. Almost 30 million is coming from a deepwater field in KG basin operated by Reliance and BP. So you see that as per the global trend, while the oil production is increasing globally, India has a good opportunity to increase gas production from the deep water, and currently shows that 30% production is coming from deep water. ONGC has started oil production in KG basin and gas production. That is also a significant amount. And there are many blocks awarded in deep water, ultra deep water area under open acreage licensing policy, where large commitments of wells are there, seismic commitments, and we are very hopeful that in India, like global trend, deepwater production contribution in coming 5 to 10 years will be much higher than currently we have. And talking about the policy, I think Vivek will some more questions on the policy later, but I think government is coming up with a very investor-friendly policy for the deep and ultra deep water. Thank you.
So let us stay on that point in terms of the opportunity. And currently there is the 9th round of OLP which is underway, which is also termed as the mega offshore round. So can you summarize what is on offer and any specific incentives that are available for the bids blocks on offer?
So a very pertinent question. Actually, currently, the open acreage licensing policy was introduced in 2016, and under that policy, any operator can carve out his own area of interest. We call expression of interest, and he can submit the expression of interest throughout the year. Now, what happened that the 8th round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th round has already been completed and blocks awarded. Almost 144 blocks awarded with an area of more than 2 lakhs per kilometer, and with a commitment of almost 500 wells and a lot of seismic, 30% of the wells in offshore, maybe 20% in deep water. So there were certain issues in deep water, ultra deep water, which is the very prolific areas earlier. For example, Mahanadi deep water, Andaman deep water, Bengal deep water, Saurashtra deep water, where different agencies were not allowing oil and gas exploration and production because They have the areas allocated for them for the military exercise, submarine testing, missile firing, and maybe satellite launch. But what happened that there are certain experiences of the international player who came to India earlier in 2003, 4, 5, 6. They are not allowed to work in those deepwater area because of the defense restriction. But in 2022, a remarkable change happened with the intervention of the highest level of the government, that almost 1 million square kilometer of that area was made available to Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas by the defense agencies for doing exploration and production. So that is a very remarkable achievement. Earlier we called it a no-go area, which was earlier there almost 1 million. Now this earlier no-go area is no more than 99% of the EEZ area, which is 2.36 million square kilometer, is now available for exploration and production. After this new development in 2022, now the operators are submitting expression of interest and putting up bids in deepwater area, ultra deepwater area. And a very remarkable change happened over last two rounds in terms of deepwater bidding. I can say that suppose you have 26 blocks on offer, almost 50% of them are in ultra deepwater and maybe 40% in deepwater and very few in on land. So why the people are going to deepwater, ultra deepwater area, ONGC, Oil India, other companies? Because of the new area available, which was not available earlier, which was under defense agency. And very good example is the recent two discoveries by ONGC in Mahanadi, which was particular block, is an OLP block. 94% of the block was under the so-called no-go area. So the block, ONGC was not allowed to drill for last 5 years. So as soon as that restriction was removed in 22, then ONGC mobilized 2 rigs and drilled 2 wells and made 2 discoveries in the same block. So you can see the potential of the deepwater area, ultra deepwater area, talking about Mahanadi, Andaman, Bengal, and Saurashtra and Mumbai offshore, all deepwater areas, huge potential for the bidders, and the recent trend is very, very encouraging on this. And I can further talk about the incentive if you want.
Sure. No, I think thank you talking us through that. And in fact, I just want to quote a recent DGH report which almost called out deep waters as the last bastion of hope for Indian upstream industry. Uh, Coming back to you, ma'am, given that BPRL has a significant business interest in some of the most prolific deep water plays like Brazil and Mozambique, uh, and you have seen through the journey and the development there. Are there? I mean, you did talk about some of the specific technologies in your opening remark, but are there any specific best practices in terms of technology or let's say operating model or regulation that you think could be useful for India?
Yeah. So BPRL went into the deep waters of Brazil at a depth of 2,900 meters. So that is the ultra deep waters. That BPRL at that point was a very small company in 2008, and we went into Brazil waters, ultra deep waters, and the discoveries we made are now getting into the development mode. And even Mozambique is deep waters, it's about 1500 meters of water. So the way I look at it, we go to the other geographies all over the world for energy security of the country to get our equity oil. But equally important is the technology that we can operator from the operators and from the service providers in different geographies that we see. We can look at it, we will understand how it functions, and we also build relations with the providers, and then we bring them into the Indian waters. And as DGH is mentioning that there are a lot of deep water areas now available for bidding. We are talking to some of the partners in India. BPRL is also being approached by other operators in India to partner them in the deep waters. And since we have built relations with the various providers of drill ships and different technology, we are sort of factor here in India, and we are in a position to bring that technology and work towards it. And this technology in turn, because then there'll be no downtime because these are proven and tested. So it is going to lead to better economics, and we are ready for that. And maybe in the next bidding round, we will be participating in deep waters, bringing our knowledge from the world over.
Okay. So that brings to me another issue that when the tech adoption of technology by individual operators, uh, and we have seen around the world that there have been few companies that have kind of driven those adoption, but that benefit percolating to the entire industry needs a much wider industry collaboration. Uh, and which is where I want to come back to you, Mr. Sinha, is given that the next potential for the upstream oil and gas in India lies in deep water. Some thoughts on how we can drive collaboration between the industry and the government. Government has come out with certain specific incentives, but beyond incentive, how can we create the enabling ecosystems to drive collaboration which can fast track adoption of technology?
Yeah, I think very pertinent question. So before I come to the technology part, I'll say that what government is doing to help the companies to decide on the acreage. So government has spent almost a 1 billion US dollar, almost 8,000 crore rupees for acquisition of data and funding the data. Government is spending money to acquire data. So Government of India actually took a very aggressive program of acquiring 100,000 line kilometer of closed grid 2D data for the entire exclusive economic zone, right from the east coast, west coast, covering deep water, shallow water, Andaman, of course, in area. So entire data has been acquired and it is under processing. Some of them are available. So the bidders have now a good idea that what are the data available in Indian deep water, and the service providers are also buying data from the data repository and they are adding value to the data and marketing it, and they are telling the good response from the international oil company. We have also opened a data room at Houston, at the University of Houston campus, where the bidders can come and see the data, and it looks at the data of the Andaman, Bengal and Mahanadi. Talking about the collaboration, which is very, very important. So I can say that the deep water challenge is that the supply chain management is a big issue in India because the long lead items are required in deep water, right from the drilling rigs, vessels and all those things. So, but the thing is that government is actually hand-holding this company and giving all the clearances required upfront, be it clearance for the vessel, for the experts, for the import duty benefits and all those things. So the Reliance development, actually in the COVID time, it was completed in 2020, before time. It is the only project in the world which was completed during the COVID-20 pandemic, and that too within a record time, before time. That was because of the close collaboration with the service provider, government and Reliance and BP to give all the assurances and certificate. Technology part, the Reliance BP has the deepest gas field in India, many people may not be knowing, which is a D34 Arcedis field, which is producing almost 10 million gas per day beyond 2000 meter water depth. ONGC has used the pipe-in-pipe technology in the 98/2 block, which is under production, for the heat management, because crude is waxy, so they have to heat the crude. So pipe-in-pipe technology. There are many technologies being used, the latest state-of-the-art by the two companies, and DGH as a, we call it not a regulator, as a facilitator, we always encourage the induction of new technology with the deep water area. And we are working in all these fronts.
Thank you. Now we just have last 1 minute left, so I would request you, each of you, to give your quick 2 points which you think are critical for us, and when we see this opportunity and how do we kind of capture the opportunity, what would be those 2 things which as a country we should focus on?
So my quick 2 points would be, first, in technology, I have already mentioned in acquisition and processing, but along with technology, it has to be speed. So the quicker we can interpret the data and get to the exploration and extraction of hydrocarbons is what is going to help us. So our collaboration the world over, the world has to work together towards extracting hydrocarbons, because we are talking about energy transition, net zero, and decarbonization, everything. But we are now talking in terms of everything working together. So if the speed and the technology can help us move towards a more sustainable future, that is what we should all aim to be.
Yeah, my first point will be to increase exploration in Deepwater area, because the committed work program, almost 500 wells in all the basin, 20% maybe in Deepwater. So as soon as they keep on drilling those wells, there will be discovery. Definitely, Maharaj is an example. Second one is the more collaboration and resource sharing between the adjacent operator, because drilling rigs and everything is very costly. So if the operator really pull in the resources together and go for a joint kind of tendering, and they can get a long spread of tender duration, the cost will come down and they get all the resources in the world. So these two areas we are working on, and probably the operators will also come on board very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those last closing remarks. I just want to end the discussion with two important levers that emerged out of the discussion today. Technology clearly is going to play an important role in harnessing the potential. Government has come out with certain incentives and framework which is in place now. And the second important, and which is also a learning that comes from the global development, is the collaboration among the industry players, particularly sharing resources and capacity building. Thank you so much to all the participants for joining this discussion. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.